You have ESPN?
Okay, Gary.
Good to go.
All right, here we go. Okay, good evening. Let me call this special meeting of the Summersville City Council on this 27th day of July 2023 to order. And the first thing I'd like to do is of course, the agenda's been posted as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. The first item on the agenda is public comment. Has anybody signed up for public comment? Having nobody signed up for public comment, we'll move right into tonight's agenda. And the first item on the agenda is approval of the grant application documents for the Summersville Hydro Plant through the Department of, by the way, that's the Department of Energy. Error on the, I just noticed an error on the agenda says Department of Education. It's actually Department of Energy.
Okay.
Energy.
I just said DOB.
Okay, no, okay. Anyway, first item is the approval of the documents for our application with the Department of Energy funding opportunity, and it's energy improvement in rural and remote areas. Council, let me try to bring you up to speed on this. For years, it has been the interest of the City of Summersville, along with our partner, to apply a low flow unit or bring a low flow unit application to the hydro plant as it operates. Something that we've looked at pretty serious over the course of many years, and it's never been affordable to be able to have to, borrow the money and make the total investment and then get the return on the investment. It just didn't make sense financially. Quite frankly, probably about 2 or 3 years ago, we looked at it real serious again, and at that time, the estimates for the low flow unit came in at about $18 million. Incidentally, we partnered with a new outfit out of Ohio for design, and now we've got the budget for a low flow unit, which is several units, 4 separate units, to really be able to capture low flows at the hydro plant. And of course, this particular venture budget comes in at $14 million. So what I would like to do is, as you probably remember some time back, Betsy, correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm going to say probably about 4 months ago, in partnership with Region 4 Planning and Development, and really right now I want to sing their praises, even through that process and now this grant process. It's been an incredible feat and challenge to get through what this process has called for. And we're still at the 12th hour. I mean, been hard at it, and at the 12th hour we're still trying to get all the pieces to come together, which there's still pieces to come together yet. The application date is August 2nd. It has to be submitted. I can tell you we're close to the finish line, but we've still got some stuff before we come out of the tunnel. We just got the budget from our consultant, and now there's a whole lot more that goes with the budget that we're still waiting to receive. Last night at 12:15 a.m. I received probably the same email you did, Betsy, from Ryan, and Ryan had computer problems, so the documents that we were promised yesterday we still don't have. And I don't know if he's got his computer straightened out or if it's just he hasn't, but there's a whole litany of information that we need from Ryan, who is the developer of the low flow unit and also consultant through this process, because he and his company have much experience with the Department of Energy. So we're still waiting on some final documents that we all have to review and then make sure that all the I's are crossed, or all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. So we still got a little bit of work to do. But with that said, what we're asking for tonight, and then I also would like, for the purpose of those that will watch this in the newspaper, so about 4 months ago, we submitted a concept paper that sold to the Department of Energy this project and the value of this project to a community, specifically our community, highlighting all the pros and cons of a small rural community. And after the Department of Energy received over 700 applications, they dove seriously into 300 and some applications. And I mean, just incredibly, of those 370 that they actually reviewed and vetted, they selected 78 to go forward for the funding through this program, and we were one of the 78 projects. So we got a standard we've got to live up to, and we're doing everything we can to do so. So what we need tonight is, in council, so basically what you're going to do tonight, and I'm going to ask Betsy to come to the podium now and explain the documents that we're going to approve. Do you want to hear Betsy? You can have your folder back. It's a $14 million project, and we will release these documents all to you. As a matter of fact, this is hot off the press probably about 15 minutes ago. And it has been out there, but it's been worked and reworked and reworked. We did with the initial concept paper tell the Department of Energy the project was a $14 million project. Before I turn it over to Betsy, the only other thing I would like to tell you is this too is a 80-20 grant with the Department of Energy. And the funds that we've identified and also are telling in our grant application that will fund this, our 20%, is our partner is going to put up 2 point whatever million it is, and these documents are not completed yet, but what our 20%, NOAA Corporation, Jim and Ann Price are going to put up 2 point some million dollars, and of course they're doing so because them being a private entity, there are tax advantages through tax credits that they will qualify for doing so in this renewable energy project. And then the city will do the balance of those funds. And of course, what we will have to do in the event that we are selected and awarded this grant, quite frankly, we have those funds on hand today because we've been reserving those funds for other grants that we've been applying for. But I can also give you an update. At the end of June 30th of 23, the balance on our rainy day fund is $1,120,796.69. So even if we would be fortunate enough that the other reserve funds that we have to fund grants of this nature, that unfortunately so far we've not been able to hit one of those, we can use those funds, and or worst case scenario, we've got our rainy day funds that we could fall back on to carry our share of this match in the event that we were awarded this. I will also tell you, just from a revenue standpoint, I absolutely have no concern that we will not have to dip into the rainy day funds, that through other funds and our regular budgeting, revenue receipt and revenue expenditures in our budgeting process, I have no reservation that we'll be able to handle that expenditure if we're fortunate enough to be awarded the grant without dipping into the rainy day fund. And of course, obviously, if we were awarded it immediately, we would tag revenue now and revenue in the future for this purpose. And communicating to the Department of Energy that we have the money, we do have the money. So with that said, Betsy, if you want to walk us through the documents that we're going to be approving tonight.
Okay. So we're going to start with a standard form. It's a 424. And that's just an identifying form that we use for almost every grant application that we do. It just has the city's identifying information. And then we waited till the last minute to get that budget in here, and we did put under local match $2.8 million on that. 11.2 is the amount that we will request from the Department of Energy for this project, which will total $14 million. And that will require a signature for us to proceed. And then there are three pieces here that just have there's just a part in the grant that we have to address. And so one of them will be a potential duplicate of federal funding. And that means in the event we would write another grant, or you would write another grant through another source, and you would get money that would duplicate this same project, you have to notify the Department of Energy. That's a no-no. We will have to give them notification. That will require a signature. Transparency of foreign connections is that the City of Summersville, as the lead agency, holds no interest, partnership, joint ventures, current or pending contractual obligations or percent of interest to any foreign country, nor does the City of Summersville hold any technological licensing and intellectual property sales of a foreign country. And you can't do so while you're under this grant. And then the last one of these is, this is called Domestic Institution Local Government Entity, and it is just your SAM.gov registration. We have to prove that you are an entity, and so we have a copy of your charter. Annabeth was able to get that for us, and then we've already copied your SAM.gov information for that. We will do a form that will be disclosure of lobbying activities. If you hired a lobbyist for this particular project, we would have to disclose that to the Department of Energy.
Okay, so let me just real quick inform them so there's clarity with them. So we did use a lobbyist for hydro. As you all well know, that's what got us to the study. And we have reviewed that process, and that lobbyist is not being disclosed in this because the low flow unit, we have not used a lobbyist. So the lobbyist we used was to help us get the other thing running parallel to this, and that's the study that we're going to talk about next. That's where we used the lobbyist. We did not use a lobbyist on the low flow unit. So we are disclosing to the Department of Energy that there has not been a lobbyist in this effort. Okay?
And then when Ryan gets us the technical review, which is about 50 pages of documents that will have all the technical information on it for the low flow unit, what megawatts that will make, what that looks like. It will have the construction phase. It will have all the phases in that. That requires a signature on the front page with that documentation. And so we have made that for you also. And then as grants are scored, each component rates its weight, a certain amount. And there is a new addition to a grant at this federal level that came as part of the infrastructure bill that was passed there, and it's called a community benefit plan. And within the confines of a community benefit plan, we have to show that 40%, at least 40% of the revenue that you would receive off of the hydro plant would go into a disadvantaged community. And then we have to screen to see who's considered disadvantaged. And so Summersville is considered disadvantaged according to the screening tool that is required for us to use here in that document. But we already knew that because we have applied for numerous grants that we have applied and said we are disadvantaged, and we have we have incorporated that information. So this is your community benefit plan. And within here we had to cover 3 areas. We had to look at community engagement and local labor. We had to look at American workforce and investing in your American workforce. We had to look at diversity, equity. I don't want to get it wrong. Just like that, I can't find it.
You're good.
Inclusion and accessibility, and it's called DEIA. You'll hear that term. If you're not familiar with it, you will start to hear that frequently. We worked with Annabeth, and we got your policies and put that link in there that says that you are an equal opportunity employer, you meet all those qualifications. Under this, we also used the reason that we had said that part of what we were going to ask for this 40% was to continue to work on the regional outdoor complex that, you know which one I'm talking about, that we're looking at outside of town. So we've incorporated that within this plan, and we said 40% of the funds that come from this improvement, we're going to continue to work on this regional outdoor complex. And so within the confines of this plan, we geared our accessibility, we geared our community engagement, and the fact that you have a team of people that are working to make that complex be exactly what we want it to be. We want it to be accessible to everybody of any capacity to be able to enjoy. We've talked about the inclusive playground. We've talked about the trail being accessible to anybody. So that's what we geared this whole plan really on. And then we also included, because they want to see this, these components, downtown revitalization projects. And so that's pretty broad, but we did put it in there and said that we were looking at buildings as to what buildings could be sustained, which ones were considered dilapidated, which ones you could maybe recruit new businesses to look at and to participate and to come into this area. We're looking at this also through an educational eye, because looking at the model at the lake as being a model for not only for West Virginia, but also for even the East Coast and all the visitors that come out there where the how Bunker Bow is. We would like to be able to put like a QR code and do that with the GIS tracking, and you could look at that. You could see a movie, an educational movie about the benefits of hydro and how and what you're working towards here. And so we're trying to tie in all these. It doesn't look like it's a lot, and when you just look at it, because it can only be 10 pages, but it's 20% of the weight of this grant. That's a lot in grants. And so we want to get this right when we put this out there, but we don't want to put anything in here that you can't do. So when we addressed your local workforce and we addressed the American workforce, we talked about the fact that we will follow the 5G in procurement. We talked about the capacity of the city to maybe create a website that could keep someone updated if contractors wanted to look and see when are you going to put out a bid, what are you bidding for, what is required, their capabilities. We can put that information. We think you can do that. I have to. When we had an independent person review this, she told me that was probably weak, that we would need to define if the city really had the capabilities to do that and to monitor a web page, or if you would need to contract that out. I'm sure we would make that work. If we put it in here and we got $14 million, we'll make that work. And so, but Region 4 will be with you throughout this endeavor. We will admin this for you, and that is included in your budget, that part there. Do you have questions for me? It's a lot. It's a lot. This is a lot, guys.
There are a lot of moving pieces. Now, Betsy, on the last round with the consultant, have those changes been made, recommendations, like, have we tightened all that stuff up?
Which one?
Like the recommendation on, that we were weak on.
Oh, but I have, yes, this
Okay.
is new. This one is new. It's hot off the presses today.
Okay.
And yeah, this is new for us also. This is the first community benefit plan we've had to do. I think that we will get better at them as we see these become more prevalent within the grant world. I think you're going to see it. And as Summersville stays, well, even Nicholas County, in that disadvantaged confined and defined area, then you are able to use your funding to help your own self. And so that's our goal.
Yeah, good.
That's our goal. So do you have lots of questions? There's a lot of moving pieces to this one, guys. This is the largest grant we've done for quite some time as far as volume, technical volume parts.
So council, questions?
But we'll get a copy of all this information
Yes,
at some point.
Yes, sir.
And actually what we'll do is it's going to be astronomical. As a matter of fact, we're waiting on Ryan's technical piece right now. We've had a boatload of meetings about it, and he still doesn't have it out. It was promised this week. And let me tell you, Ryan's working his hind end off too. But we haven't seen that yet. But I can tell you that Jim has been supervising Ryan, and they've redone and reworked, and so and that's 50 pages. So what's going to happen is we'll put all this in a file and download it to you through email, instead of trying to make copies of this. And if anybody wants a hard copy of something specifically, that plan right there is 10 pages, but there's a whole lot of moving pieces of this thing. And I really think when we're all said and done, you're going to be looking at an application that's going to be astronomical.
Well, we won't even get to see a hard copy of it. Can you imagine that? This is all done electronically now. That's just how they're submitted. And so the cookie set all this up for us in there.
Yeah.
got it all ready for us, and that was a technical challenge for her also. It's the first time we've done a Department of Energy grant, and so we're looking forward to positive things that will come from this. Okay, I'll give this to you now.
So, do we need, can we just approve the grant and the documents associated with the grant? Or are any of these required to have specific minutes that are relative to approval?
No, there's
Okay.
nothing.
All right. So council, do you have any questions whatsoever?
Thank you, Betsy.
You're welcome.
What you're approving is Department of Energy grant for $14 million. The key part is our match is 2.8 million. And before we get to the finish line, there will be a document provided. I believe where we're at right now, Jim and Ann are going to do 2.2 and take tax credits, and then the balance would be the city of Summersville, so that would leave 600 for us. We're still working on that. We're still tweaking that because of them working through. Which again, a lot of this, you do what's right, but this would still be down the road yet before this would ever happen. Because the other thing that the Department of Energy is well aware of, if and I hope and pray that we do get awarded this grant, there are all kinds of milestones that we have to attack. First of all, we have to go back to FERC. This changes the megawatts that we produce. We have to prove to them that we're not going to go over the max that we can for our type of hydro, which is 80 megawatts, and then our licensure and everything has to be approved with all of the regulatory agencies, to include, as we were talking, you've heard some conversation with DNR, Fish and Wildlife, I mean the whole 9 yards. There's all kinds of things that we still have to do, but the Department of Energy is well aware of that. So once they award it, it'll still take us, and then really when you talk about when would we see the benefits from the low flow unit if we're awarded the grant. In all reality, it would be a good 2 years before you would even think about going to construction, and it'd be 4 years before we'd see the benefit. I mean, that's, and those are probably on the low end from the standpoint of making this stuff happen, just by the way it is to work the federal government system. Okay, so what I would like to do is get a motion for approval for the Department of Energy Improvement in Rural and Remote Areas grant through the Department of Energy, the funding opportunity, approve the $14 million grant and all of its associated forms required.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Council, one last opportunity. Anybody have any questions?
Well, you said there first that Jim Price was 2.6, and then you said 2.2.
What I meant to say was, no. So no. It's always been us $600,000 or $700,000.
Okay.
Okay, and what I didn't know until hot off the press on my way here, when we were talking last night, the budget could come in at 13.2, and the budget came in at 14, which is what we originally submitted in the concept. So that's why that was a floating number. But no, it's always been Jim and Ann, 2 something with tax credits, and then we'll do the balance. So yeah, if I said that, I misstated. Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. Now Betsy, do you want to wait tonight for me to sign these?
Are you going to be?
Well, it'll probably be just, I'll tell you what, let me just sign them real quick. And we want them signed today, right? That way you don't have to wait. I appreciate everything you've done. You've worked overtime on this. I don't want to hold you up anymore. And of course, If I miss something, I'll be at the meeting tomorrow.
Is that your community benefit? You don't need to sign the community.
Yeah.
benefit.
Can I keep this copy?
That's your copy.
Okay, and how about the copy of the budget? Can I keep that too?
Yeah.
That you
can
printed
keep
off?
that one.
Okay, here, you want to double check these real quick to make sure I didn't miss anything? Should be everything signed for you. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start the next, Betsy, if you see I missed something, just stop and take care of it. Okay, that takes care of that piece of the agenda. How exciting. Next item is review the Summersville Dam hydropower evaluation analysis. Okay, council, as you have that document, you can see, this is the piece that we've been working with the Secretary of the Army, Undersecretary of the Army's office out of Washington, D.C., which is ultimately over the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And so what we have before us is that document that talks about the Summersville Dam hydropower evaluation analysis. We have totally and thoroughly vetted through months of meetings with the Army Corps of Engineers, the options, the alternatives that have been laid out before us. You've got alternative 1, alternative 2, and alternative 3. Ultimately, at this meeting, I would like to say that when we set out this process, our goal was alternative 3, which was ultimately to study the raising the winter pool. And of course, that document even is correctly stated because what we asked for was 50, and they realized at some point in time they had made a mistake. We did ask for 50. It was never really decided where it would fall, but what we have decided is after they got the analysis put together on the cost and then the future potential cost with NEPA doing option number 3, it's just not realistic. As you see before you, Council, that option number 3 is $872,500. And then, of course, with alternative expenses that could go anywhere from $400,000 to $1 million. And then, of course, the thing that was super discouraging about this option is the process of evaluation and future studies that would be a part of what could come out of our year study. And, in some estimates, they're saying it could be 5 to 10 years before that particular study could be finished. So, immediately it caused us to regroup, and what we have landed on is alternative 2, option 2. And that would be slowing of winter flood releases and capturing stormwater releases, so on and so forth. Evaluating all that to see if any of that would produce or could be utilized by better release to generate more power. And of course, the cost of that study is $679,500, which has to be paid in full by the city of Summersville. So, Council, the first thing I'd like to do is, this document is just informational. I know that you, unfortunately, some of you got it earlier today, some of you received it as you came in here today. Do you have any questions about the alternatives? One of the things I would tell you as you further examine this document is that when you look at alternative 2, that price also includes everything that's in alternative 1. So when you look at this, you get 1 and 2 for that bargain price of $679,500. Okay? So if there's no questions on that, the next item I'd like to discuss, you all have in your packet the memorandum of agreement between the Department of the Army and the City of Summersville, West Virginia, for the evaluation of operational changes to to facilitate hydropower production at the Summersville Lake, West Virginia. And of course, council, if you've had the opportunity or you do read through this document, it has been vetted by our attorney. And to the document that you have laid before you, as you heard today, there will be the changes that will be made to this document that you have before you that I do not have yet from the Secretary's office, Department of the Army, Under Secretary's office, is it will be changed that from the time we sign this document, we have 30 days to submit the payment of $679,500. No, to submit it, we have 30 days, yeah. And then, if there are further studies or that cost runs more, and you'll notice that there's a contingency built in to this study. So, alternative 2 carries a $59,600 contingency. So our payment's due in 30 days. And then if there are any further requirements so in other words, if we get in and they decide, oh, now we've got to study this, first of all, we got to do is approve the study. And then if we agree to do whatever it is that might be recommended out of this, then we have 60 days from the time we commit to submit the additional funds.
It's 50 days.
No, it was 60 days.
That's where I got confused. I said it was
60 days.
60.
Okay, well.
Yeah. No, I'm almost positive she said we're switching it to 60. That's what I wrote down.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, 60 days, yeah.
That's fine.
And then the other thing is, I had requested under item number 3 on the second page, where it says, should the final accounting determine that the city has provided funds in excess of cost of the evaluation, the government shall refund the excess amount to the city, and they're also changing that to 60 days. So, for the purpose of the study, what we need to approve is my signing the memorandum of agreement, and basically, I need your approval to sign it tonight, and then what I will tell you is that the document will be signed before our next meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers headquarters, DC headquarters, which today we set our next meeting on August 24th. So as soon as we do sign the document, submit it back to them, it will be, we'll be on the clock for the 30 days to have to submit our funds in full. Again, council, I will tell you in anticipation for a long time of this expenditure, that we are, those funds, we do have those funds in total to pay for the study. I will tell you that we'll approve it, and then at the next meeting, there will be a budget amendment, and then we'll also show the additional funds that we received from our partners that contractually help us pay for this, which basically what this document is to the Army Corps of Engineers, as the document correctly states, the Department of the Army, the city's on the hook for the money. Contractually, we split this payment with the operator, LS Power, of the plant. They're on the hook for 50% of the expenditure, and then of course the city, through our partnership and financial agreement, the other 50% we pay, and then 49% NOCOR pays. Okay, but initially the city of Summersville, the entire funds will come from our coffers and then be reimbursed from them. There will be another additional document that I want you to go ahead and approve as well tonight. There will be a document that is not produced yet because we didn't land on what the total price will be, where there will be a document that will get our partner and LS Power to sign for futuristic reasons that we're all committed to the financial means of this service. Okay, any questions? Okay, so let me ask, and so what we can do is we can go ahead and add that dollar amount now, although we'll get the updated contract from the Army Corps, or from the Department of the Army. Let's go ahead and say that I'm looking for a motion for me to sign the memorandum of agreement that includes the price tag of $679,500 that we will pay in full to the Department of Army in 30 days from the date we sign the contract.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any questions? No questions or further discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. Okay. Council, I guess what I'm looking for now is a motion to adjourn. Okay, first
Second.
and a second. Okay, a first and a second. All those in favor to adjourn signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Council, thank you.